What's the matter, Kakarot?
Good morning, and welcome to another Sunday service with the Blurred Church of Anime. I hope you have been doing extremely well. I hope you have had a good March so far. I hope last week was good for you. Last week was pretty chill for me. I had a chill week. That is not normal considering how 2026 has gotten started, how I've been moving through 2026. But it has been a good week for me last week. I'm hoping next week, although I'll pick up a little bit, doesn't get too super stressful. I hope that you had a chill week or you got what you want to do to be successful done. And if you didn't have a good week last week, you know what we always say about that. F last week. This week is going to be so much better for you. I believe it in my bones. Because, here at the Blur Church of Anime, we believe that things can't just keep getting worse, that eventually they have to get better. And I know that sounds counterculture to everything that's been happening in America in the past couple of weeks. But let me tell you, I got to believe that. I got to believe that at this point. Boy, and thinking about what I want to talk about this week, I was like, I realize I've talked kind of sort of around this topic before. So y'all bear with me. I'm gonna keep it short. I'm gonna keep it sweet. We gonna do this and make it good. But if money is the root of all evil, then why does it feel like being poor is a sin? Walk with me. I don't know, for some reason the past couple of weeks I've been really wanting to rewatch, and I have rewatch and kind of like rereading Darwin's Game, which is one of those death games. I talked about it previously. It's in an earlier episode about death games and what we can learn from them. But and it wasn't just that, it's things like that was really popular on Netflix, Squid Games. And like just kind of looking, even like Tomodachi Game as another one of those death games anime. But this idea that if you really want to be able to make a way in life, you as a poor person is willing to do any and everything, including killing other folk. And if money is the root of all evil, then when do you have the lack of money when your life choices are restricted and you don't get the outcomes that are normal for the populace because you're underneath that like normal money, whatever of capitalism? Then it kind of starts to look at you like a moral failing on your part. I think about the Korean movie Parasite, where these are some very enterprising family who is very, very poor and are kind of rich, ripping off this rich family. But like, you have this son who never went to college, but he's teaching someone, like prepping someone for college. This woman who is the sister who's pretending to be this art avant-garde person that's like to train the little kid in art. Like, they have this whole thing like this is ingenious. So it's just a lack of ambition or whatever, but like they're doing whatever they need to do in order to make ends meet, and they're like asking for a little slice of the pie. Like they're not even trying to steal the whole house. And I think that there's this idea that when people are poor, that it's their fault or that it's divine retribution. If you look at some of like the prosperity gospel and within the evangelical Christianity, as they talk about it, like this is like you being poor means you did something wrong instead of it being a societal issue. And so it becomes this curse. And again, we see this play out in a lot of I think a lot of times the main character in Death Game is like this kid who is living alone, no parents, tragic whatever, and they're living in this one bedroom, one like studio as kind of like small apartment, which is, typical for Japan, especially in urban areas like Tokyo. And they're doing the best they can. Tomodachi Game, I think, stays very, very true to the idea of what's more important, friends or money, with the main character having a very traumatic backstory before meeting his group of friends, and when he gets put in a Tomodachi Games, even though he's the poorest out of all of his friends, he's the one kind of keeping them together, where he could have been like, no, I can't get debt added to me because I don't have this money. Like, y'all are in such a better situation and I shouldn't get dragged into this. And then I think about Darwin's Game, which is the main premise that I'm going to get in here, and this will be heavy spoilers for Darwin's Game. Like, go watch it. A little bit of spoilers for the manga, because there's only one season of Darwin's Game and not even 12 episodes. They give us 11 episodes. How rude are you to give me just 11 episodes to like talk through all of this? But whatever. Where again, this idea that people are willing to do anything for money, and I'm like, well, yeah, when you need money to survive, when it's the end goal. I mean, not even money to survive, but like, hey, I want to do a thing and I can't do this thing because I don't have money. And there's my familiar here. He's gonna say hi in a little bit. Ollie, you gonna? Okay, nope, just tell him my face. Bet. Anyway, so like, okay, they don't like a lot of people who are playing the game aren't desperately needing the money, but like there's things they want to accomplish and money is needed. And then we think again to Squid Games, where all these people are in heavy debt or are like about to lose something because they need money, and they're willing to go through death games and trick each other and kill each other to be able to get this money at the end. And I still can't believe Squid Game has 3 seasons of this. Like, clearly none of us learn our lessons. We will do whatever for money. And maybe that's where money becomes the root of all evil. But again, it feels like being poor is a sin where you cannot get ahead unless you already have some money. So let's break it down. Let's break it down in Darwin's Game. If you've never watched Darwin Game, as I mentioned before, it is one of those death game animes and manga series. We're going to try to stick to the anime because the manga goes off in some weird places. But really, we're following this 17-year-old high school sophomore, Kaname. Kaname, he has 3 friends. He's a group of 4 guys, and like they decided sometime in the summer that they're all just gonna go riding on their motorcycles together. Now, do these guys have motorcycles? But they're trying to figure out how to do it. And so Kaname's doing the regular teen thing where he's like, I need to get a side job so I can save up money. And even like the most regular basics of motorcycles is a whole lot of money. But then 2 of his friends have kind of like disappeared. They like are very secretive and doing all these other things. Well, it turns out the 2 friends are in an app game called Darwin's Game. And when you think Darwin, you think of Darwin and Survival of the Fittest. It's a death game. And that's how they've gotten their money to be able to buy their motorcycles. The first friend who sends an invite to Kaname is because he's facing an invisible enemy and he's about to die and he can't get in contact with the other friend, the one who is actually already in the game. And so he's like, well, what can I do? What can I do to survive? And he sends an invite to Kaname, hoping that Kaname will see it and get in and be able to save him at the moment. And he can't. So, old boy dies, body disappears. It's a thing in the game. So then Kaname is in school the next day, and the other friend who is part of Darwin's Game is like, hey, have you seen so and so? And he's like, nah, what y'all up to? And he's like, oh, but he did text me last night. He texted me this thing to do Darwin's Game. He's looking at it. His friend's like, don't touch the app. And of course, when he tells him to touch the app, he punches it in. He clicks survive. And then the snake comes out, bites him, and now he's officially like keyed into Darwin's Game. What he doesn't understand that Darwin's Game is a battle game, and again, a lot of times people are battling to the death, and the assailant who killed his friend, the one that sent him the invite, has now decided or has gotten paired up for his first match with Kaname. Kaname barely comes through it with the help of the friend who is currently part of the game, who's like trying to kind of feed him information as they're doing it. And he gets hurt, and he doesn't make it through the encounter, even though it wasn't even his fight. But before he dies and disappears, he sends one last message to Kaname, who's trying to like call the ambulance because he's gotten stabbed. And it's just like survive. Cool. So the first 2 guys get into this game because they hear it's an easy way to make money. And sure enough, it is. It's a way for them to be able to make money and be able to get their motorcycles. but they also know enough that they don't want to drag their friends into it because it is a game where either it's kill or be killed or hide or whatever you need to do. It is not a legal way of getting money. Kaname now pulled into this game and having two of his friends die in this game, he's like, I need more information. People are coming out to kill me. Because he won his first match, he gets points from the guy who he defeated, although he did not personally kill this guy, which is, you gotta watch it to figure out why all that happens. But then he's like, goes to talk to this girl named Shuka, which is crazy. I love the crazy yanderes. And she's trying to give him information about, how to use points, and the points could be converted over for real money. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna convert like 10 points, so let's see what it is. And he's like, 10 points is like 10,000 yen. Like, this is thousands of American dollars, y'all, for 10 points in this game for, watching someone die. Yeah. But that is not enough to draw Kaname deeply into the game because again, he wants to get out of it. He doesn't want to be in this twisted game of life and death. Like, it's stupid. He doesn't, I mean, he is very poor. He is living alone. He doesn't have a lot going on for him, but he's just lost two of his friends. And he's trying to find a way to get out of this game. And it's like, bro, once you're in D game, you can't get out of it. So his motivation then doesn't become, oh, I want to play this game to get money. It's, I'm going to play this game to find the creator of this game and like smack him or maybe kill him, for like trying to shut this game down so I can get out of it and other people can get out of it. But along the way, he meets all these other D game players. D game is how they say Darwin game for short. And it seems for a lot of these people, I mean, yes, some of them are doing it because they like the definite destruction, which is like one of the main antagonists of the first season, Wang, who is a psycho. But a lot of the power that comes from being able to kill people with they get special powers called sigils that allows them. And some people can have sigils like, I can shoot fire out of my hands, and other people have sigils like, I can tell if people are lying. It's a grab bag, and it's supposed to be whatever you most desire. But he meets a lot of different people, and a lot of folk that got into D game really got into it because they were told either this is a way to make your dreams come true by getting money, getting powers, blah blah blah. What I think really pushed me into being such a fan of Darwin's game and the idea of the sheer the sheer lack of humanity are people wanting to be humane in an inhumane system, which is what I kind of feel about capitalism and how we need to use for money over in general, is that Kaname is trying his darndest to get through this game and not kill anybody. When he can avoid it, he doesn't want fights that go to the end. When he's like meeting the people who eventually become part of his clans or allies later on in the show, he tries to like win fights where it's like, hey, I don't want to kill you, but I clearly have the upper hand. Can you just like not? And he holds on to this for a good bit because for him, it's not worth it. He doesn't want to be killed, and he has this innate instinct to want to survive and this like strong will of force. And also, it's the last thing his friend said to him before he died. He's like, survive. And he really wants to honor that, which I 100% appreciate. But he doesn't want to survive off of other people. And he's able to build like a clan or like a family, a guild around that. Eventually, after his first couple of battles, he gets pulled into like this event in D game where they're like trying, it's called like a treasure hunt, and he's separated from his main new ally, Shuka. And so he has to create other allies because he's not going to be able to survive in the game himself, and we get to meet other characters like Ray, also known as the analyst. Rain, sorry, not Ray. Her name is Rain, like the analyst. Ryuji, who like he's just really carries heavy weapons, and then Sui and Sota, which is a very interesting twin thing going on. Um, and he gets to kind of know a lot of what they're in there. Like Shuka's in there for revenge. Her parents were killed, and she thinks her parents were part of Darwin's game as well. At least her father was. Rain, I think, just kind of got didn't really mean to get into it. Ryuji is out for revenge. He got into it for money, but then when his little brother is brutally slaughtered by Wang, he's out for revenge. It's a lot of people who are in the game and let's kill or be killed. When they meet the florist, I love that his story is he's doing this because he does desperately need the money because his daughter, and he's a single dad, is sick. And in order to be able to pay for her bills and keep her alive, he's going to kill as many people he needs to and do whatever he needs in the game in order to get that money to her so she survive. And he knows his life is kind of forfeit in living that way, but it doesn't matter as long as his daughter can survive, right? And you see a lot of people with this like desperation. And again, it's not just in Darwin's game. Like I said, you see it in Squid Games, you see it in Tomodachi games. The money is like his underlying theme, but like lack of money, lack of resources, it what drives people to desperate means. I also think about when I say like being poor seems like a sin, is that in Squid Games, a lot of the characters, especially in the first season, a lot of people you meet are like these despicable folk. Like, okay, they have all these debts. They seem to be like the way they paint people who are lacking money as a society are folk who just did it all wrong. Like they didn't follow the plan and like they didn't do the thing they were supposed to do. And that's why they're out. That's why they're losers. And of course, losers can only do these heinous things in order to make good. And so the thing about the system that preys off of them to be like, don't you need money? Here, slap me for some money. Like the whole set, it's all of a setup preying on people. Well, okay, yeah, maybe they made some bad choices. Maybe they dealt with addiction. Maybe they dealt with gambling. Maybe they had like, oh, remember one guy in the first season of Squid Game, bad businesses. Was trying to do something and then lost it all. One thing I'll give Squid Game, they gave the immigrants not the worst story. Like they just came in and were trying to work hard and were just poor. Both sets of immigrants that they've had in the show. They're not terrible people. They're people with really bad circumstances. So I will give Squid Games that. Tomodachi game, like part of the reason they get into Tomodachi game is, to pay off debts, but also there's revenge for or trying to figure out who that's kind of a bit of a murder mystery and trying to figure out who was the mole among their friends. Like Tomodachi game is very interesting. I do hope they have more seasons of that because I read the manga and I have to give Tomodachi game its flowers for not drifting off into kind of like insanity about what the game is trying to do. It sticks to the core of this mystery of who has betrayed the group, the secrets of the friend group, exploring the main character's own past and how he eventually is the reason for Tomodachi games. Like I think all of that has was very well done and ended in a very good way. Darwin's game goes off this it goes sci-fi, yo. Like it goes first season you're gonna love. If you read the manga, eventually we get to the point where we have alternate timelines, alternate worlds and stuff. It is a mess. I'm not even trying to get into all of that. But let's just say first season of Darwin's game, first few books of Darwin's game, it is really about meeting the people and understanding the game and the relentless murder and conquest. And Kaname is just really trying to clear the game so he can kill the game master for like again for the loss of his friends. And I mentioned that he had three friends, so it's a group of four. Well, you want to what happened to that third friend? Like that third friend wasn't in Darwin's game. After one of the events, kind of realizes like I have to get stronger. I got to build my clan, whatever. So he kind of goes ghost. So you have that one friend who is left with all three of his buddies just gone, and he has no reason where they are. And so that friend goes out and like just wants to check on Kaname once he gets to be summer break. And while he's checking, he goes by Kaname's house. He's abducted by the Eighth, which is the group that's ran by Wing, and Wing has a personal hard on for trying to kill Kaname because Kaname bested him. And again, so now Kaname is directly involved with the danger one of his friends, the last remaining friend who's alive, is part of, and trying to figure out like what can he do to save his friend because this guy likes to kill. Like Wang is going to kill his friend. And the plan that he has involves getting his friend into Darwin's game as a way to like help give him powers, to say help save himself, help them all do this kind of thing. But in the end, Kaname finds out, this is a major spoiler, so sorry. But in the end, for Kaname, like he loses all three of his friends to D game in some type of way. And it's heartbreaking and it's earth shattering. And I think that is where we see the twist in Kaname. Like not like a twist, but like his 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 need to survive, as well as his need for like not to accept losses when he has had such a huge personal loss of all three of his homeboys being gone. Like I really miss my homies on this one. Um, he realizes that he can't be as soft as he was, someone who's trying again not to kill, not to do things outside of the game, trying to make the game less deadly because again he wants to end the game. Nah, when it comes to the eighth, he's like, nah, we kill him all. We about mm-mm. Um, because he's doing that in a way to create a safer space. And you see him like, my indecision, my unwillingness to be brutal and ruthless in the face of it is what caused like this friend to die. So I have to be brutal as well. And then you see again this way that the game has taken something, and I mean, again, people tell you all the time that Kaname is like this exceptional genius talent. He's not strong. His sigil isn't about strength or whatever, but he has his flexibility, this tactical mind, someone who can like deal with war really well. And he's like, yeah, I've been trying to deal with this by not killing anybody, by keeping it really contained to the worst of the worst. But now, nah, y'all cross me, you cross my clan, you out of here. You are out of here. And I think again that goes back to what I was saying about the sin of being poor. Again, Kaname's whole thing isn't just about him being poor because he's dragged into this. And again, he's not doing it for the money. He would get out. He understands, like he's very smart about this. But there's just so much that's happening between him and his clan, and like the money they need to keep up their clan building and be safe and safety in this game, and trying to buy the weapons and stuff in the D game system. Requires the money, requires the points. It really requires them to be part of the system. And I think what I was really raging about today is the system. That the system is BS. The system, especially when it comes to oppressive systems that tell us we need to live in a certain way, and it really pushes us on survival of the individual instead of the group, instead of trying to be in community. I think that is when we become the monsters, even when we don't try to be. And I get it. Survival is hard. Some of us are like really trying to get from day to day. Maybe you have like this small group, and again, Kaname with his clan. I think what they're called Ravens something. What is the name of the clan? Sunset Ravens. That's in the clan. He's really like, I'm trying to protect my people. He creates and he gets his folk. He's like, this is it. This is who we are like really vibing for. Again, with the end to clear the game, stop the game, so there to be no more victims. No one want us get into D game. But I think sometimes we get into the habit of, I'm gonna do what I need to do to survive. And then I don't care who I hurt. But I think we have to be a little bit more ethical about that. Like I try really hard not to judge people who are in very dire straits and who have a lot of just desperation around what they need to do and how they're like living their lives. Because I wouldn't want to be in that position at all, and I honestly cannot imagine, trying to figure out for my day to day, what am I willing, what am I not willing to do to be able to live or to protect myself and my family, my kids, all those things, that those acts of desperation, definitely leads people down, not great paths, and like sometimes really dark paths. I try to give a lot of grace on that, but I also say like just because you're in the darkness doesn't mean you can prey off the same people who are feeling the same issue. One thing I love about Kaname is that he's always looking at the creator of the game as his goal. Like he's not trying to kill all the small fries, whatever. He's like, I'm gonna do what I need to do so that way I can bring down this system as a whole. Even in Tamagotchi game, like our main character there, he is trying his hardest to keep his friend group together and sacrificing himself in some ways I don't fully appreciate. But at the end of the day, he's trying to beat a game. He's trying to beat a system that he knows is corrupt and is trying to break apart people. Squid Games, although I felt like, oh boy, she just got on that plane and went to see his ex-wife and daughter, but there is something to be said about the person who was like, hey, this was unfair. And this was like desperately demeaning for people, and I got to figure out why you're allowed to do that and stop it from happening in the next crowd. I just think you're gonna be bad, and you're gonna do these things in desperation. Hit the people who don't have as much to lose, and not the people who are struggling with you. Don't hit the people who are already struggling. Hit the people who has set up the rules that make you struggle. Change this whole thing. Ugh. And there's so much happening right now. I hate that I have to look to the news and the media with this critical eye and say, but what's the backstory here? Like, is it this person just go after somebody randomly, or is there a reason, and what is that? And can I have empathy towards them, as we are all in very desperate times, just in different ways. So yeah, I'm gonna keep yammering on that. If you haven't watched Darwin's Game, give it a watch on Crunchyroll. I try to keep some of commentary and my spoilers to a minimum, but it is, I think, imperative for some of us to really look at ourselves and say, like, okay, I'm in a compromising position. I'm in a thing that I know is harmful, and I can be just as bad as everybody else, or I can do this with a higher power, higher reasoning, and then try to minimize my damage and go after the system that is actively trying to hurt us. Again, like, go after the system. Don't go after the little people. Maybe that's my true message. Don't go after the little people who are in this bubble, who are in this hamster wheel. Go after the system makers. Go after the architects of these games that keep us pitted against each other, because that is how they keep us down, and that's how, they're calling the world for whatever this new intergalactic war or whatever. The Darwin Game gets weird. I'm not gonna even lie. It gets weird. I still love it though. All right, so like, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say on this one. I hope again that you all have a fabulous week this week, and I will catch you on the next one. Okay, bye. The Blurred Church of Anime podcast is produced by Black Star, aka Lauren Tillman, written by Lauren Tillman, and hosted by Lauren Tillman. Music created by EL47.